Hello and welcome to my February 13th video update. We just returned from a rather long vacation, 2 weeks on a cruise and then a week visiting my sister-in-law in Central Florida. So we're just back. And we came back to, as you saw in the intro clips, a flooded basement. Actually, the flooding happened after we got back, thank goodness. So I won't be doing much recording downstairs for a little while until I've got that all cleaned up. Okay, so last week I showed you that I had finally found a use for my Pelican 1300 case to house the Spark. And the question is, did I take the Spark with me? Yes, I did. And although it was really freeing to drive to Florida and not have to worry about flying and take really kind of what we wanted, I did take the Spark with me, but I never really intended to take it with me on the cruise. I took it because I knew we were going to visit my sister-in-law after the cruise, and I wanted to have it with me so I could experiment with it because I knew the weather would be better there than it was here, and it was. One note though, we parked our car for 2 weeks in a park and go kind of place close to the cruise port, and I did remove the battery from the Spark and the other extra battery, and I packed that with my luggage because I didn't want to leave those batteries sitting in the car, which could potentially get quite hot. I don't think it really ever did because it could have also, I guess, hurt the drone. But the drone was safely packed away in the Pelican case. But I did take all the other things that I mentioned in the video linked to above when I was planning for this trip. And I used almost all of it except for the Smooth Q. I thought I'd use it while we were on the ship and walking around and take some smooth video. But really, I didn't generally want to carry it around with me, and when I did take some videos on the ship, and I did that quite a bit, I didn't have it with me, so I really had to figure out if I'm going to actually use that thing, and if not, to sell it, because my rule is if I'm not using something at all, then I really need to sell it and use that money for something else. But I did use my other things. When we go on cruises, we typically don't get off at all the ports. For us, it's really more about the relaxation of being on a ship and out at sea. But when we did get off at a variety of ports, St. Martin, for example, and Dominican Republic, I did take my EM5 Mark II with my favorite 12 to 40 lens. This really is a great lens. I did not, however, ever use my Panasonic 35 to 100. But I think I'd always take it with me because it's so small, light, and if I do need that range, I have it with me. And that's, so I didn't use it this time. It does prove to me, though, I could really go on a trip and be comfortable with my iPhone and this EM5 Mark II with the 12 to 40, because that's generally what I end up using all the time. I did use the Rokinon 7.5 millimeter manual lens with my EM5 Mark II once or twice, but not very much. But again, it's small, and I would take that with me again as well. I did take my Insta360 camera with my Acmor selfie stick tripod, what I'm using right now to hold my iPhone to record this. And I did record some things in a marketplace, and along the way we did a little tour of the island in the Dominican Republic and in St. Martin's, and the damage was just sad. I don't know how they're going to ever recover, but they will, I'm sure. And it just was really, it really brings home what a storm can do to an island community. But I did get some shots, not of the damage. I did take some of those shots to show our sister-in-law, but I took shots at the market and along the seaside where there was a statue and a flag and so on. So I did use the 360 a couple times. And on the ship as well, I went around the ship and took some 360 pictures and a little bit of video with it. But as is becoming more and more common, the piece of gear I used the most was my iPhone 7 Plus, which I'm using right now to record this update. I took pictures with it. I did some video clips. I always had it in my pocket so I could pull it out and take some clips. In fact, I was sitting and reading, and they started to bring a lifeboat, which they had out as a tender. They started bringing it back up on board and putting it in position. So there were several crew members. They blocked off part of the deck. So I jumped up with my phone and I took some clips of that. As you can see, it's running. And there's a link to the full video of that little story of repositioning a lifeboat. The final piece of camera gear that I took with me was the Olympus Tough TG Tracker camera. It's a video and stills camera. It's underwater safe. I thought I would take it snorkeling, but as it turned out, we didn't go on any of the snorkeling excursions when we were in port. And when we were at my sister-in-law's, I didn't think it was quite appropriate to take it into the pool and swim around underwater taking pictures of people. So I did use it, but I don't use it that much. And I've got that little Yi action camera, which also has an underwater housing. So this is another piece of equipment that I might have to think about whether I want to keep it or whether I'm going to sell it and use that money for something else. And I did take it with me, and I did a little time lapse, as you can see. So it's a fun camera to have, and it does do that. So it's nice to take along. Well, that's it. And it was a good trip, and I'm happy with what I decided to take. I'm really, from a year or so ago, I've really pared down what I actually take on trips with me, believe it or not. And as I say, I'm happy with what I brought. I didn't use the Nissan i40 flash, nor did I use the 35-100. But I think they're two small pieces of equipment that are handy to have if you need them. And I think I would always take them with me. That old just in case scenario. And another just in case is the audio gear I took with me. I had my lavalier mic, I had several things, and I never had occasion to use them. But again, they don't take up much space, and it's nice to have with you. So thanks very much again for checking in, and I'll look forward to seeing you in my next video update. Goodbye.